Hi, here's Catherine Bielmeier. I'm bringing, of course, every day your exercises to practice for more peace, for more love in your life, for more ease, for more joy, for more bliss, for more who and what you truly are. And aliveness, of course. And today I bring you an invitation to living more freedom at last. True freedom, not what your ego mind tells you what freedom looks like, how you can picture it, how it would feel like, all those bullshit from our ego mind spirit. Please let it go and feel the freedom in your heart. And how would your life be like if you would truly live freedom, a free life? What would you do? How would you live? Where would you live? With whom would you live? What would be your actions? How would you experience it? What more could unfold in your life? Take a look, sit with it, just in stillness with this question, with all these questions, and just being present to it and listen to your heart. Because turn on the evening news and you'll immediately see ego madness in action. The world is full of them. Also in our ego food system it's full. In the twisted theme park that represents this earthly realm, dream figures try to convince us of our separation from each other. This park has two caretakers who are at our side at every moment at our visit. One is the ego and the other is our inner teacher of love. We can hear both voices, but the ego always speaks first and loudest, trying to keep us away from our happiness. And of course, there are other possibilities. So, today the lesson 66 has the idea my happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are actually the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is? It is not a two-way battle. The ego attacks the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. Today we will try to get past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attack on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is. Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is here a very real connection between the function God gave you and your happiness, but that they are actually identical. Stay with me, because you remember later on there is a practice, and you can practice it while I'm telling you what to practice, and you can experience immediately something else unfolding in you. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Begin the 10 to 15 minutes practice periods by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. And try to see the logic in this sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premise for a while as we are practicing. The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order to be false, it is necessary to define God as something He is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, He must be evil, and it is this definition of Him you are believing if you do not accept the first premise. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the ego and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit, then truth abides. There are no other guides but this to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice, but the fear that the ego always engenders and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through His voice, or His made by the ego which you have made to replace Him. Which is true? Unless God gave you your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts? Think about this during the longer practice periods today. Think also about the many forms the illusions of your function has taken in your mind, and the many ways in which you try to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need to great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly, and consider also whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. You will listen to madness or hear the truth. Just two possibilities. Make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusion rests. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other. For God Himself shares it with us. Today's idea, another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different as the different. On one side stand all illusions, all truths, to realize that only the truth is true. In the short practice periods, which would be most helpful today, it undertaken twice an hour. This form of application is suggested. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute, and probably less, to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. That's it for today, my loved ones. I'm happy in God's function and God's gifts to bring to you this possibility, and I wish you lots of new experience with that. And thank you for sharing it with your loved ones, this possibility to gain more peace, to come back to everything. So, bye for now. That was it. Bye for now.